Hello, Thrive Loud listeners. At Thrive Loud, we are always connecting you, the listener, with amazing leaders that are thriving in their lives, their businesses, and their passions. We also have had hundreds of thriving women that have been featured on this podcast. Continuing this important effort, Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond, Success.com, and Clubhouse have joined together to create a special series called Elevating the Brilliant Minds of Women. You'll get a chance to learn about these incredible initiatives of women across the globe, hear about how they are thriving, and how you can connect with them today. Enjoy this amazing conversation, and after the episode, learn more about this powerful initiative.
This podcast has never been listened to. Do you see the old tagger on it? That's right, brand new, never been listened to. What? No, you can't listen. No one has ever heard it. Don't look anymore. You've looked at it long enough. Who am I kidding? No one would want to listen to Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond anyway.
Get ready to Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond, connecting you to the most inspiring and amazing people that are thriving each and every day. I'm your host, Lou Diamond. Today on Thrive Loud, we have an international award-winning global impact and brand strategist, author, and speaker. By the way, that's a really amazing, powerful title just out of the gate here. So we're going to have a fun conversation, as you can tell. She empowers and educates conscious and purpose-driven entrepreneurs and organizations to build impactful businesses through leveraging their brand and build their identity and authority within their marketplace. Thrive Loud listeners, continuing our trend to elevate the brilliant minds of women, we're going to stand up in your own hallelujah. Thrive Loud listeners, Gayle Edwards. Gayle, how are you today?
I'm really good. Thank you, Lou. It's just such an honor and a pleasure to join you today.
As most people can tell, Gayle is not from where I hail in Brooklyn, New York. She is from a much nicer place over on the other side of the pond, coming to us from England with a Wi-Fi issue going on that she just can't deal with right now.
Just can't. I'm definitely not standing up in my own hallelujah at the moment.
Well, we're going to get you there, and we're going to get our listeners to do the same. So Gayle and I connected in the lovely medium of Clubhouse, which we're going to talk about at some point in this chat. But before we do that, I want the listeners to hear a little bit of your story and kind of how you're doing what you're doing now. I don't like to rewind all the way to the very beginning. I like to do a little rewind and kind of just catch us up on how this became your gig, Gayle. Share that with the listeners if you could.
Yeah, I'd love to. How did this become my gig? That's such a lovely way of putting it. Because I do believe, I'm a big advocate of we teach what we most need to learn. So to me, it's no surprise at all that I teach people how to use their voice and the value that's in their voice. And that's all around their messaging, their communications, their branding. And I've always known from a very young age that I was going to be an entrepreneur. I didn't even know what that word meant. I didn't have any entrepreneurs or business owners in my family. Everybody, was very hardworking and, committed to their careers and their jobs for, 30, 40 years until they got, the lovely gold clock at the end of their career, which is what we give people over here. And for some reason,
do that. Do they still give the gold watch? There's no way they still do that, do they?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, now, my dad retired quite some years ago, and unfortunately has died since then. But my dad got a canteen of silver cutlery. So, it's some precious metal. So there's always something. But I just knew that it was, that wasn't really for me. The clock or the watch or whatever just didn't seem attractive enough to me to, invest 30 or 40 years of my time for. So it was really about wanting to do something different, knowing that I could do something different, but not knowing what that was. And I came to speaking late in terms of I didn't actually start talking until I was 4, nearly 5 years old. And I had already started school when I started talking as well. So I went from a very quiet environment into a very noisy environment. And because I wasn't speaking, I came across as very shy. So I hid myself in books. So kind of expanded my vocabulary from a very young age. And as I got older and older, I really loved the whole concept of storytelling and getting people to share their stories, which was a complete contrast to how I started. So as time went on and, started my career in the media and, BBC over here and Channel 4, various other media companies, I started to realize that the one thing a lot of people had in common before they would go on to the news show that I was that I was in the production team for, or before they'd go on to the TV program, they were always confused about what they were going to say. They didn't know. They were like, but I don't know what to say. And I'd be the person to say to them, look, just be you, just talk about your film or talk about your book or whatever. And little did I know just how important that was going to become to me, because as I built my business around marketing, the thing I was really good at was getting people to just be themselves, to forget about the campaign, but to just be themselves as they delivered the campaign. If they were doing a video, just be yourself in your video and you're talking about your product. And as time has gone on, it's been about 6 years now. I mean, I've been an entrepreneur running my business 21 years now, but it's only been in the last 6 years that I've really honed and focused on that messaging piece. Yeah. Because what I've realized, and you will know this as well, Lou, from what you do, is it doesn't matter what the fancy social media tool is of the day, what the fancy marketing campaign is, whether you've got a funnel or not. If that messaging piece isn't right, then it doesn't matter, because that messaging piece is what connects you. It connects us to our audiences. And once I started focusing on that, oh my goodness, talk about the magic pill, the expansion that has occurred, not just for me and in me, but for my clients. It's just been extraordinary. Absolutely extraordinary. So that's the quick route through to how I kind of came to doing this gig, because I realized just how important having and utilizing our voice and being authentic with it is.
I love this. You're speaking my language on so many different ways. It's right in line. It's specifically about this engaging your audience. Gayle, who are the people that you help? Who are the clients that you help elevate, if you would, and help them better connect their voice?
I tend to work. I mean, there's that.
You don't have to name them one by one.
Everybody. Yeah, help everybody. But really, for me, it's those people. Normally, people who are intuitive and spiritual, because they have gifts that they just sometimes feel guilty about charging for. So that's definitely about helping them to realize that there is a value in that gift. But really, it's people who have a social conscience, social impact entrepreneurs and organizations. That's why I call them purpose-driven. Yeah. Anybody that is thinking beyond themselves and their business. So I'm very passionate about what I call the human-to-human economy, the ecosystem that helps not just me, because let's be real here, Lou. I want to drive a nice car like everybody else, but I don't want to feel guilty whilst I'm doing it. So for me, it's about creating giving impacts with my business that help improve that societal experience for others. And there are a lot of purpose-driven and social impact entrepreneurs who want to do that as well, but they don't know how. And that's all part of standing up in your own hallelujah.
Okay, so let's just do a little double click down on this, because I'm very curious. What do you think is the most common challenge the clients that you work with face? What is the messaging part that they have trouble getting out there? Is it just clarity and simplicity, or is it maybe a willingness to open up and be authentic?
It's both. It's both. And I'll tell you why it's both. And it's both, but it's different depending on where my client is from. Okay. So here in the UK, it's that reluctance to blow their own trumpet, because they don't want to come across as arrogant. They don't want to come across as salesy. So that's what it is here. So it's like, I can't say that. I can't tell people how brilliant I am. I can't tell people I've won awards. I can't tell people that I'm actually an expert. So that's the frustration in the UK. with my US clients and kind of other people outside of the UK, US and Canada in particular, is clarity, because they have no problem. You guys have no problem whatsoever blowing your own trumpet. Yes, I'll tell people, and the more compelling the story, great. So what? I've been bankrupt 3 times. That's what makes me so great. But so with you guys, it's really just about that clarity and simplifying the message, because vocalizing it is not the problem. Whereas,
we know this. We tend to be a little more loud, us Americans.
we like a little bit.
We're not very shy. Well, actually, some are, and I actually think what you're honing in on is very true, though. When you have a culture of people that are all communicating and all more boastful than the other, you tend to talk too much, and therefore you're not saying the right things that you need to say, or the concise things you need to say to connect to people. How do you, Gayle, let's kind of like go into this, because this could be fun. What are some of the exercises or the things that you do to really get that message right on point?
Well, the first thing, I like to get people, because when people are confused and they're in their own head, they think it's going to be this really hard and long process, and it's not. So the first thing I get them to do is to tap into themselves, and literally tap into themselves, whether we use EFT, or even if it's a case of, right, let's just sit down, let's just be quiet, and then just tell me the first 3 words that come to mind, the first 3 words. And then we start to build on those 3 words. But we have fun with them, because sometimes who knows? I don't know what the first 3 words are going to be. Sometimes we get really crazy things like pink fluffy slippers. Okay, great. Where are we going to go with that? Where are we going to go with that? But the thing is, nothing at all that we think or that we say is ever by accident. And it's just about connecting that back as to what does that really mean for you. And like this example of pink fluffy slippers could really identify in someone a need for comfort. Okay, so what does comfort actually really look like? And then we just track back and find the thread that's missing from their message. The other thing as well is that sometimes we find the thread loose. So people, they come up with their messaging and they're still a little bit in their head. So they say things like, oh, I'm a powerful and intuitive entrepreneur. That's great. But there's something stuck. And don't ask me how I do it, because I don't know and I don't want to know. But I have this amazing, ability to recognize when energy is stuck when people are speaking.
Well, dedicated Thrive Loud listeners will probably remember we had Melanie Moore on not too many episodes ago. I think Gayle's like a neighbor of Melanie's, right? You guys?
Yeah, she's one of my besties.
Yes. We're bringing all those worlds together here, and they also sound delightful. What was the joke that someone from the UK said to me? I one time said, "Oh, I love your accent," and they stopped at me and they said, "I don't have an accent. You have an accent." And I thought
exactly, we don't have an accent. We're so flat compared to you guys,
Not so much. Okay, so I love this. By the way, you're literally and figuratively tapping into key messages, language, and words that you pull with people. When for you. The sense of accomplishment, the thing that makes you happy, because I've learned this about incredible entrepreneurs and those that are branding. Look, brands and messaging, even the vibe of language changes often. So there's always a constant need to make sure that the message is on point. But in the moment that you're working with someone and you help them get that clarity, what's that sense of accomplishment mean for you in the work that you do?
That's my hallelujah moment. The moment I see and hear someone go from, I'm not really quite sure, I don't, this is the problem I've got, I don't know how to talk about it, and I know you get it, but and they go on and on and on and on, and then literally in 20 words or less, they're able to say exactly what they do, who they do it for, and what the impact And that's the thing for me, Lou, is the impact. Yeah. And I think I don't want to analyze it too much just in case I spoil it or jinx it. But I think it's that impact that I hear, whether it's there or it's not there. But I think that's the thing that kind of drives the way I work and how I work with clients. So it's almost like the moment that the impact shows up, I know it instantly and I feel it. And they feel it as well, because they either burst into tears. That's quite a regular occurrence. It's quite a regular occurrence. They either burst into tears, or they just have that incredulous moment where they can't believe, wow, that actually feels right. Yeah. And then they go on to do amazing things.
It's a nice spot to be in. Yeah. I'm going to make one more point about the work you do in the business before we peel back the curtain and talk a little bit more about you, Gayle. And that has to do with something that I've been viewing, and that is this work that you're helping entrepreneurs or individuals or solopreneurs with is definitely on point, and it really has that personal connection. And more traditional organizations are recognizing that people with the superpowers like yourselves need that injection. It's kind of weird, like stuff that used to come from corporate would go to an individual, and now it almost feels like the tide is moving back. Are you seeing or dancing around that organizations are starting to recognize, hey, these entrepreneurs are starting to get the message a little more clear than even us? Are you dancing in that space?
Absolutely. And this is what I call the human to human economy, because it's not just about the social impact, it's also about the corporate social responsibility. And organizations are realizing that if they're talking about supporting, social projects and communities and various other things, they cannot do that with any integrity whilst they are neglecting their staff. Yeah. So there has been a real trend over the past few years towards bringing authenticity. Even that's a word we never heard in corporates before. Certainly not when I was in corporate. That was like, what are you talking about? Whereas now there are so many training. There's a real hunger for training courses around authenticity. There's even a hunger for training around entrepreneurship within corporates now. Yes. They want to know, what is that skill set that entrepreneurs have? Can we teach that to our teams? Because we want our teams to be more innovative. We want them to be more we want them to be able to connect more. We want them to be more authentic. Can you teach us how to do that? We want them to be more nimble and flexible so that they can jump from one project to another. So there has definitely been a change in tide. Oh, yeah.
Thrive Loud listeners, if you haven't picked this up by now, Gayle rocks. And there's two reasons I wanted her on the show. One, she's got an unbelievably on-point message. And two, I can never get away with saying innovative as opposed to innovative. And it just sounds so much better the way you do it. So, Gayle, I love people who are helping other folks step up their game and literally bring out their best branding, messaging, clarity. And you are thriving on most days when you do this. However, like everybody else, specifically when we started this interview and we were frustrated with the Wi-Fi and connectivity issues that are happening in the UK, we're going to send a message to British Telecom. Gayle, on those days, there are days when we are not quite thriving and we're off our game. Mm-hmm. On those days, what practice do you seek, or what individual do you seek out to get yourself back on the thriving track?
Well, in terms of individuals, you've had, as we've already mentioned, my bestie Melanie, and you've had another bestie on your show as well of mine, Inga Dexnay.
Oh wow! And I did not know. Look at the girl power going on here. Excellent.
Yeah. Awesome. Now Inga and I are neighbours. Okay, we literally live within 15 minutes of each other. So that community is really important, and I would say to anybody, the power of community, especially now, just being able to call someone and go for a walk, call someone, have a little chit chat. Clubhouse has also been providing some welcome distraction in that respect as well, because you can tune into somebody else's conversations and immediately have your spirits lifted. But really and truly, I'm a very, very simple person, Lou. And one of the things for me is I love, and your listeners might be like, what? But I love afternoon baths. Right, I do. I love to take a bath in the afternoon.
Hold on one second.
And
Our listeners are not laughing at this. I think they're appreciating and maybe a little jealous. But keep going. You're afternoon bath.
Yeah. Well, this is the benefit of having worked for myself for so long. You know, my time is pretty much my own in terms of how I craft it. And you know, there are some days when I just think I just want to go in the bath, a nice hot bubbly bath, you know, and do some meditation. And because the bath for me, it's not really about the physical cleansing. It's about the emotional cleansing. That's what baths represent for me. So it becomes a real functional thing in terms of the meditation. It's relaxation, it's meditation. And it's also allowing whatever is to flow. Because some of my greatest ideas have come from being in the bath. Honestly, it's the greatest reset. It really is.
I like it. Gayle, let's do this. Let's do the admin part of the show. Share with the listeners all the places people can find you, your company, your websites, your social media handles, whatever the heck you want to put in there. We will put it all in the show notes, but share with our listeners. When they hear from you, they could do it. Yeah.
Well, the easiest place is just to go to my link tree. I've got a link tree, you know, LINKT, I don't know, the link tree handle.
Yes.
Gayle Edwards, GAYLE Edwards. Okay. And I tend to put most things on there. My website is still under development. Honestly, it was supposed to have been done just after Christmas, but with Clubhouse, it's just like everything's gone out the window. So I put all the important stuff on there. But really, I'm very easy to find. You know, Gayle Edwards. I'm the Gayle Edwards on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. I love connecting with people. I think that's probably why Clubhouse is my natural playground, because it allows me to do that. But what I will say to anybody is always expect the unexpected when you connect with me, because I have so many people who do connect with me and they say, oh, I didn't expect you to answer so quickly, or oh, I didn't expect you to be able to help me just like that, or you know. And yeah, I do. I'm a real person. That's why. I'm a real person.
I like it. And for those who can connect in the Clubhouse community, Gayle will certainly make sure she gets on stage, but she will also do this unbelievable ability to utilize the names of the people who comment on something better than anyone I've ever seen. It's actually a very good leadership tactic that I've seen. And I go, oh, she's really on point with that. Oh, she just shouted out this person's name and this and that. Plus you get to hear this lovely voice every time she speaks. So it's spectacular.
Thank you, Lou.
Gayle, would you like to go down Fun Street with me?
Yeah, why not? Let's go.
Let's start off with this. Share with the listeners, if you could, one of your all-time favorite movies.
Gosh, you know what? That's that question, isn't it? You think, oh, but then there's that one. But I do love a feel-good movie, Lou. I've got to be honest. I'm a little bit of a sucker for a good old musical, you know, especially if I've watched it several times, which, of course, all of them. So I know the words. And so it's got to be Hairspray. I absolutely love that movie. It's got the fun factor. It's got a serious social issue running in the background, and then it's got one of my all-time favorite concepts, which is American teenagers in the 50s. Love it. You know, it's just
it's so good. And there's that last musical number. First of all, I've seen it on Broadway, and obviously I've seen it, and the cast that they had for the movie was even more unbelievable, who they brought together for it. I saw an interview with some of the cast members, like one of those behind the scenes things when they made the movie. And, you know, John Travolta plays the mother in a great role. But they could not stop having fun. Like you could even see, imagine just putting that stuff together, and what's a really hard coordinated thing. But it is, you can't not feel good jumping out of the theater or Broadway theater from it. It's awesome.
Absolutely.
So Gayle, the way this next part of Fun Street works is like this. I'm going to ask you something. I want the first thing that comes to your mind. These are things that mostly lift you up, make you feel good, motivate you, things that make you thrive. Okay? You ready to roll?
I'm ready to roll.
Okay. A song that you love to hear or that pumps you up.
Oh, Optimistic by the Sounds of Blackness. I absolutely love that. Gosh, it's such an old song now. Must be about 15 years, but it's still every time. Every time.
A favorite food that's not a dessert.
Sushi.
Okay. A favorite dessert.
Gosh, I'm not really into desserts. Tiramisu.
Okay.
Yeah, I do like a bit of tiramisu.
An activity you wish you did more of.
Oh, gosh. Exercise.
An activity you wish you did less of.
Something I wish I did less of. I can't think of anything that I do to excess that doesn't make me feel good. Something I do. Okay, I could do less eating, Lou. I could do less eating.
Gayle, if I snap my fingers and you could be anywhere in the world, where are you?
I'm in Italy, Tuscany in Italy. It's one of my favorite places, San Gimignano in Tuscany. Yeah.
I love San Gimignano, that little fort city. I remember that. And they have their own white wine that they only make in San Gimignano. Yes. I
love it. It's one of my favorite spaces in the world.
Gotcha. Gayle Edwards, truly a rock star, coming to us from the UK. I hope you had fun here on Thrive Loud. Truly a pleasure. Keep doing what you're doing and keep elevating all these incredible entrepreneurs to the next level, because you're raising their game. You're making them be more clear and more authentic, which rocks, and which is why you're on Thrive Loud today.
Oh, thank you so much, Lou. It's been such a pleasure. Thank you.
And to all our listeners out there, thank you for joining us. And until next time, keep thriving onward and upward. And remember, be brief, be bright, be gone.
Thanks for listening to this special episode of Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond, brought to you by Success.com and Thrive Loud. To learn more about this great program and elevating the brilliant minds of women, head on over to thriveloud.com or Success.com. And make sure to follow Lou at Thrive Loud everywhere on social media to learn more about this special series. Thanks for listening.